Alright, we are live. Welcome back. This is Mike November Whiskey coming to you from Kathmandu. Gorgeous, gorgeous sunrise in Kathmandu this morning. Uh, Today is a very exciting day. Today we are heading to Paro Airport. We're finally doing the famous Paro approach. This has been 18 flights in the making, and finally we're doing it tonight. I'm expecting a pretty fun departure out of the Kathmandu Valley, a pretty quick flight over to Paro in Bhutan, and what we're going to attempt to do, one of the most dangerous and also one of the most scenic approaches in the world. Now, of course, I am not a pilot myself. I have no formal training. I've been studying about aviation offline, kind of doing my own ground school. I aspire to be a pilot one day, but just to make it clear, I'm doing this purely as an amateur, although today we are going to try to adhere to real-world procedures as closely as possible. And I honestly don't know what's going to happen when we get to Paro. I have not practiced this approach. I have not done it before. I've seen others do it, so I have some sense of what to expect, but there is a non-zero probability that we will crash on approach. And hopefully it makes for good entertainment on Twitch and YouTube, and a learning experience for me. So enough of that. Let's just do a quick pan around Kathmandu Airport right now. Just really, really, really cool weather effects in the sunrise haze. Kind of see the mountains in the distance. Should be a really awesome departure. And according to our flight plan, we're supposed to depart in 17 minutes, so not a lot of time. So let's hop in. We are cold and dark. We'll quickly do our pre-flight cockpit preparation flows, get some power on, and then we'll brief our route today. So let's get started. Starting up above, get the batteries online. Connect that external power. Here the system's humming to life. Get some lighting so you can see better. Turn on nav and logo lights outside so people know that we're here. See that illuminated? Beautiful. What a cool fish logo on the Royal Bhutan livery here. Alright, initial flows. Let's start with no smoking, emergency lights armed, crew supply on, ground control on, get the aiders aligned, and our fire tests. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. All good. Solid. And, you know, if you check the ECAM while I do that, you see the engine memos appear on the ECAM down below, which is a really nice touch. All right, fire tests are complete. Oh, no, cargo. See that one more time. What do we see on the ECAM there? Yep, cargo smoke alert. Very nice. All right, so we can get folks aborted sooner than later, save some time there. Let's get the APU going, because I believe the APU is required to be running now for boarding procedures, and that I believe is for air circulation purposes in the age of COVID. So we'll go ahead and stick to that convention. Next, we'll get our brightness adjusted. We'll probably be adjusting these brighter as the sun comes up. See some of those instruments coming alive as they're getting aligned. Alright, and just continue our flows down here. So anti-skid is on, clock is correct. I got brake pressure. Let's check. Oil quantity is good. Hydraulic fluid is present. And what am I missing here? Yes, doors. Oxygen pressure. Fantastic. We'll go back to APU once we see APU is available. Good timing. So I'll hop back up here, turn on the APU bleed, and we're all set on getting boarding started. We'll keep the fuel pumps off and seatbelt sign off since we're going to do some refueling. But now that the APU is running, let's not waste any more time. Let's get folks on board the plane. So hopping to the weights and balances here, and we'll get a request. We have 132 passengers today, and we'll get them on board right now. Next stop, just finish our preparation down here. So we are on Unicom today. There's no ATC available, though we are flying on VATSIM, so if that changes, we'll get some ATC coverage. We're going to squawk 7,000 until we get assigned a squawk code from ATC if they do come online. Weather system is currently off, engine masters are off, mode is set to normal. Coming down the panel, speed brakes are disarmed and retracted, flaps are retracted, rudder trim is 0, parking brake is engaged. That all looks good to me. And just double check that I have the right settings. Yes, throttles work. Great. So now let's talk about fuel real quick. Pulling up our flight pad. Let's pull in our flight plan from SimBrief, just confirm the information is correct. I will record our ATIS information from here. Great, so we are here in Kathmandu. We are heading to Paro. And since this is going to be a pretty short flight, actually, I'm going to wait to get the Paro ATIS information once we're in the air, but we're not going to wait until we get to cruise. Because the flight's going to be pretty quick today, we'll actually do our departure briefing once we're on autopilot heading to our cruise level, just to make sure we have enough time to get everything ready, because the approach is going to be pretty complicated. Alright, so in Kathmandu tonight, or this morning rather, QNH 1015, winds are calm, non-existent at 0 and 0 knots, and temperature is 8 degrees and dew point is 7. Cool. Heading on to our operating flight plan. Make sure all this looks correct. So we are in Kathmandu, we're heading to Paro. There's a slight time change there. 5.8 past Zulu. That's very interesting. Anyway, our alternate tonight is a none, because it really seems like the alternate options weren't great. So the best alternate option in that case really is to come back to Kathmandu. So we may actually need to account, because we have no alternate fuel, so we might just match the trip fuel so we can make our way back to Kathmandu if we need to. Flight number tonight is Royal Bhutan 9084, cost index is 15, cruise flight level is 330, trouble pause is relatively low, and we'll have a very robust tailwind of 78 knots. Some bumps maybe with a shear rate of 3.0, but I don't think we'll have, we could probably keep the seatbelts on off for the duration of the flight. Looks like, yeah, 40 minutes in the air, like really no time at all. Usually I do descent preps at about 40 minutes before destination, so we'll be doing that as soon as we can once we're airborne. We're on runway 2 tonight via the Igris 1 Bravo departure, and we'll be arriving via runway 33 via the Subsu 1 approach. And I do believe 33 is the slightly easier approach for Paro, because I think you can get visibility of the runway a bit further in advance, which will help us novices here. Coming down to the fuel, we mentioned, yes, we should add fuel here because we have nothing left for an alternate, and we'll treat Kathmandu as our alternate. So I'm going to add 1651 to this number. That's going to require me to do math. Never a good thing. 4,000, 5,055? Let's go with it. So we'll load 4,055 and get that going. Oh, we want that to be real. Oh, that changed. Interesting. So 4,055, that will load, 5,055, hold on. Math. Oh no, I was right. 5,000, hold on. Bear with me. 5,055. Let's go with that. Okay. If I'm doing bad math, make sure to call me out. Let's make sure the rest of the settings are set to realism. Yeah, they're all set to real. That's funny. Just the fuel was not. Anyway, we are flying on the experimental version of the fly-by-wire tonight. So yes, expect the unexpected. All right, back to the operating flight plan. We are getting fuel on board. It'll take no time at all to get to the level we need. And just looking through here, let's take a look at the METARs. Well, first, yeah, shear rates are pretty consistent through the flight. Not too worried about that. Okay, here we go. So departure airport, yeah, light winds, good visibility, ceiling at 10,000, no significant weather. And at Paro, which is most important because we have to do this in visual conditions, it looks like we have pretty low winds, good visibility, and a ceiling of 6,000 feet. We'll have to compare that to the altitude of Paro. I'm not sure how high above sea level that is, but we do have relatively cold temperatures, so we may also have to think about icing on the approach if we're going to be passing through clouds. But other than that, looks pretty fine. Okay. So, with all that information, let's go back up to the flight plan here, and we'll get our charts ready before we head to the box. And in true fashion, I always forget to log in before I start the stream. So give me 1 second here. One day they will release a feature that keeps you logged in. That's my Navigraph feature request song. Password, password, password. And automatically, Navigraph will load. Fantastic. Alright, let's unload this one and load Paro. It's going to be fun. Can't wait. This is our flight plan. Going through the mountains, trying not to crash. Alright, so we are Kathmandu. We are, I think we're departing, runway 2 tonight, so taxi, be pretty straightforward. We're going to taxi all the way down to Echo, and then we'll back taxi to the end of the runway to kind of maximize our takeoff run. Go ahead and pin that. We won't need the parking stands, I don't think, but I think, no, we don't need the parking stands. This is a pretty easy airport to navigate. Standard instrument departure tonight, the Igris 1 Bravo, that's this one here. Let's take a closer look. So Igris 1 Bravo, from runway 2, are there any written instructions? Here we go. So climb straight ahead to 2.5 miles from Kilo Tango Mike, turn left, remaining within DME arc of 5 miles. When passing Kilo Tango Mike, radial 320, turn left to Kilo Tango Mike, Kilo Tango Mike, radial 105 to Igris, and continue climb to Mike Echo Alpha. Alright, so looking at the visual here, yeah, so basically we fly out to 2.5, begin our turn towards the DME arc of 5 miles, and then we kind of cross over the VOR there and continue along radial 105 to Igris. What is this Naline Choke? And continue climb to Mike Echo Alpha. Mike Echo Alpha. Where is Mike Echo Alpha? Oh, well, we're going via Kimpty, so that's fine. That's what we'll put in the box. Not sure what they mean by Mike Echo Alpha, though. No worries. We're going to try that we can actually build custom waypoints so that we might be able to actually add waypoints to our flight plan that will enforce this DME arc restriction here. The other option is to hand fly it. So maybe we'll do a mixture of the two. We'll try to map out the waypoints on our navigation computer, and maybe we'll hand fly it until we are kind of on track for Igris. But yeah, no, this is again just making the departure pretty interesting, and I'm actually surprised there's not a speed restriction here because we are in this valley and we'll be climbing out of it. Compare this to the Innsbruck approach. They have very strict, the Innsbruck departure, they have very strict speed restrictions for a similar turn out of the runway, because if you took the turn too fast, you would literally crash into the hillside. But I'm not seeing any speed restrictions posted here. But to be safe, oh, no, wait, I misspoke, look at this. In small print, turns are limited to max 180 knots, so there is a speed restriction. We should absolutely adhere to that. Very glad I saw that now instead of later. Okay, so we've plenty to configure in the box, so let's go ahead and do that now. Alright, we're just about done with boarding. I'm sure we'll be done by the time we get to weights and balances, but let's do first check our IRSs. They are all set to nav. Everything's aligned, and then we'll check we have the right engines loaded and the right AirX cycle. Fantastic. Going to init 1, let's pull in our flight plan. something not in the database, so we'll have to double check that. No alternate, but we're going to update that. We're going to put in Victor November Kilo Tango in our alternate. So that's where we'll come back to if we need to. Royal Bhutan 984, Constant X15, flight level 330, triple pause is in the ballpark, but let's put in what's actually in our flight plan. 24432, 24432, and in we go. Alright, everything else looks good there. Heading to our flight plan. So, departure via runway 2, the Igris 1 Bravo. There it is. And exiting via Kimti, if I recall. Kimti. Yes. Kimti transition. Insert that. And oh, there's some overfly points already programmed. Is that the DME arc? Let's take a look. So, kind of. We're not quite getting to 5 miles, which is interesting. Let's compare this to the chart and try to interpret what we're seeing here. So, 2C, 2D. Interesting. Looks like a 3 miles. Oh, well, 320. Got it. So that's supposed to represent this radial. Okay, well, you know what? Let's see. Oh, remaining within 5 miles. So 5 miles is the restriction. So actually this curve is valid. We'll just have to stay at 180 knots. Okay, great. So you know what? We'll keep it. We won't make it overly complicated. So heading back to the box. So KTM to Igris to Kimti. I'm not sure what the other waypoint is, but let's just make sure that looks right. Or here, we'll get this. And so Kilo Tango Mike to Igris to this random waypoint that seems to be in there to Kimti. Is that random waypoint in there? Igris, yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, at the 20-mile radius. Cool. All right, I'm happy with that. And we have a discontinuity here. I'll go ahead and clear this duplicate. Clear that, and there we go. We'll worry about the arrival. Oh yeah, there's a discontinuity there from Subsu. We're going to be putting in the Subsu approach, Subsu 1 approach, I think. And great. So we'll worry about that once we're in the air and we're on track to our cruise altitude. Speaking of, let's head to the glare shield and get a few of these things configured here. So head to QNH. Constraints, back to ARC, and our ATIS stated 1019, so we'll just set that 1019, and our initial climb out for 1 Bravo, we have to get to 7,500 feet by the time we cross Kilo Tango Mike, so let's go ahead and put that in. Altitude of 7,500. Perfect. And while we're over here, we'll turn off this flight director and get these screens off, because I think that will reduce load on the graphics card. Okay. Setting to rad navs. There are definitely a few rad navs here we have to put in. So Kilo Tango Mike is the obvious one. The one that's 2 miles from here, yep. And I think really that's it. There is this here's this ADF frequency. I guess, you know, we can put that in just to ensure we overfly it. 252, that tracks. Cool. What's this? ADF2 PPO. That seems to be inactive. Alright, no worries there. So we'll just go ahead and turn on VOR1 and ADF2, and there they are, both showing up. Great. Back to the box. Init 2, now that we have everyone on board, let's get our zero fuel weights. 56.2, does that track? It does perfectly. And 24.1 center of gravity. Block fuel is a bit higher than we anticipated, so 50-40, so call it 5.0. Oh, and we have a nice tailwind put in here that will help our calculations too. Tailwind of 78 knots. T78. And there it is. So let's go ahead and put in the rest of the information from the OFP. So contingency 0.6, 1.7, and 0.9. 0.6, 1.7, and 0.9. And we have 13 minutes estimated extra time, which I'm totally fine with since we have full reserve fuel to get back to Kathmandu if we need to. Alrighty. And last but not least, performance. Now, I do like to calculate flex takeoffs whenever possible. So I'm just going to pull up, I have an Excel spreadsheet I use to calculate flex. And for those that don't know what flex takeoff is effectively a more efficient way to take off that isn't as burdensome on the plane. It kind of takes in variables such as weather, runway altitude, runway length, temperature to see if you can, if the conditions are right for you to do a more efficient takeoff. So typically it uses, I believe it maximizes, at least safely, the amount of runway you can use for your takeoff. So it typically takes longer to take off with a flex takeoff, but that's also because you're not pushing the engines as hard, and it just reduces maintenance costs in the long run for airlines. So they prefer that versus the alternative, which is a toga takeoff, which is just full thrust. So some of the parameters we need for this calculation is runway direction, so 22 degrees. Elevation here is pretty high, so let's say 4360. The length of the runway in meters is 3078. That might work against us, you know, like have a higher altitude. Wind is non-existent, so we're not going to get any help from headwinds. Alright, so outside air temperature, the low temperature may also hurt us. I can't read my own chicken scratch. Oh no, here we go. 8 degrees, and QNH we have is 1019. Runway conditions are dry. Our takeoff weights, what was it, 56 tons? No, sorry, that's our zero fuel weight. Our takeoff weight is 59,000, but remember we added extra fuel there, so let's call it 61,000. Configuration 1 on the flaps, we're going to turn the packs off, and anti-ice, oh, I'm going to say anti-ice off. Takeoff center of gravity, let's pull that up. Always forget where this is. Fuel prediction. 24.6, which gives us a trim setting of 0.8 up. Alright, yeah, so we can do a flex, and we can put that information in now. So again, configuration 1, trim up 0.8. Nope, sorry, wrong button. There we go. Our flex to temp is 64 degrees according to the calculator. Transition altitude, that looks right, but let's just double check on the SID. 13,500, perfect. And the V speed, so this is not going to be correctly calculated by the mod, but I have the numbers here from my Excel calculator. So our V1 is 144. V2, or actually, let me just make sure. Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure this was dynamically changing on me. Yeah, it is, because these are very similar to the settings we used last time. V rotation is 145, and V2 is 146. And then the box setup is complete. Thrust reduction altitude, acceleration altitude, engine out altitude, all fine there. Alright. Yeah, so I think we're good there. So, now at this point, let's get the tug connected.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
I think we're just waiting for the services to move on. Our APO's on, so we'll disconnect from external power. At this point, we'll turn our fuel pumps on since refueling is complete, and get that seatbelt sign on.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed, and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
Up we go.
Standing by for pushback.
Alright, so let's do the before start checklist down to the line. Cockpit prep is complete. Gear pins and covers are removed. Signs are on or auto. The aiders are on nav. Fuel quantity is known. Takeoff data is set, and barrel ref is set. Alright, so now at this point let's get the beacon on. And we'll make our... Oh, and finally, before start checklist below the line. So windows and doors are closed, beacon is on, thrust levers are idle, parking brake is as required. Let's go ahead and make our traffic call, and we'll start our pushback. Royal Bhutan, Kathmandu traffic, Royal Bhutan 9084, pushing back, facing south, Kathmandu Airport. That was a terrible call, but you know what? No one is listening because there's no traffic nearby. But yeah, let's go ahead and get pushed back.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
We are cleared for start and push. Parking brake set.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Alright, so ignition start, and engine 2. Let's just make sure pushback goes well while we let that spool up. Sunrise is moving along rather nicely. So long, ground crew. Thanks for all your help. Pushing back, pushing back. I'm impatient with that turn. Shouldn't be so gradual. I'm just gonna do a quick check. Alright, first engine is rolling. Engine 1. Seems to be rolling a bit faster than I'm normally used to, and I wonder if that's partly due to the weather. It is a little cold. Oh, look at that. That's pretty good.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking brake set?
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Ground. Startup is complete. You may disconnect.
Roger. Good engine start. Cleared to disconnect. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
Oh, we should be running the clock. Ah, I remembered this time. How fun. Normally I forget. Alright, we have 2 good engine starts. Fantastic. So now we want to get that engine mode selector back to a normal. APU bleed can come off. And that APU can come off. No anti-ice needed on this departure. Ground spoilers are now armed. Rudder trim sets as 0. Flaps in takeoff position, flaps 1. And a pitch trim. We are going to be... Let's get to our flight controls here. We're going to be up 0.8. That is set. And while we're here, we'll just do a quick flight control check. So full left, full right, and neutral. Full down, full up, and neutral. Disconnect the rudder from the nose wheel, and a full left, full right, and nooch. Cool. Alright, so after start checklist, anti-ice as required, ECAM status is checked. Pitch trim is set, rudder trim is 0. After start checklist completed. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm really excited. Alright, so now let's get ourselves ready for taxi. Let's set our taxi lights to taxi. It's daytime, so we'll keep those turn lights off. I don't really need them. Flight controls are checked. Area clearance, left side checked, right side checked. All clear, we're alone. Parking brake off. And I think we can go ahead and roll towards runway 2. Oh. Sometimes my thrustmaster sticks a little bit. That sounds so dirty. I'm so sorry. I'm talking about my joystick, which also doesn't sound good. My flight stick. That's better. Jesus. Our brake set to max. Let's get our weather system on. And let's get our ATC going. You know what we didn't do? Our speed restriction. Oh boy. So on the performance page. Oop. Next phase, climb, pre-select 180 knots. And that should show up. Looks like we're gonna have a restriction there, but it should show up when we take off. Okay. Continue our taxi. And head back to the previous phase. And yeah, I guess for the time being, just enjoy beautiful scenery around us. Would love to visit Kathmandu one day. The closest I've ever come to Nepal is playing Uncharted. I think it was Uncharted 2 when they went to Nepal, when they met Chloe for the first time. Probably one of my favorite characters in all of gaming. She's awesome. And the movie they're coming out with, the actress that's playing her looks just like her. It's insane. Alright, rolling, 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 rolling. We missed our departure time by 15 minutes, so we're running a bit late. It's fine. It's going to be a quick flight anyway. Big turn coming up. We're going to start slowing down. We want to be around 10 knots. It's not a full 90-degree turn, but Want to give our passengers a comfortable ride. Going to use the tiller. Turn us. And we'll go ahead and bring the airplane to a stop right about there. And we'll do our before takeoff checks here before we take the runway, even though we do need to back taxi a little bit. So let's do our call.
Flight attendants, please
There we
prepare
go.
takeoff.
And do our takeoff config, ECAM memo no blue. Before takeoff, checklist down to the line. Flight controls are checked, flight instruments are checked, briefing is confirmed, flap settings confirmed, V-speeds are set, flex temperature is set, ATC is set. Great. And next up, we'll go ahead, we're going to clear ourselves, right? So exterior lights on. Oh yeah, I always forget the lights. So set nose to takeoff, get the landing lights on. We'll go ahead and turn our strobe light on at this point. Engine modes as required. TCAS at the TARA. We actually do have active TCAS in the experimental version, which will be fun. Approach path looks pretty clear. Alright, great. So before takeoff, below the line checklist. Takeoff runway is confirmed. Cabin crews advised. TCAS is at the TARA. Engine mode is as required. Packs. We can turn the packs off now. Alright, we'll do our radio call and take the runway. Kathmandu traffic, Royal Bhutan 9084, back taxiing runway 2. Kathmandu traffic. Better. That was a better call. Not perfect, but better. Alright. Fun parts coming up, friends. And slow down ever so slightly for an aggressive turn. Aggressive. Name the movie. Aggressive. It's my, oh, that was such a bad turn. That was too early. One of my favorite villains in film. Aggressive. Like the worst John Malkovich ever. That's a hint, by the way. Alright, rolling down. Super slow. Oh, I can use my rudders at this point. So yeah, so I think the tiller you use for the more extreme turns where you're just kind of going straight down. You can use the rudders. The rudders give you 6 degrees of deflection. And since they've made this addition of the tiller to the fly-by-wire mod, it makes using rudders on takeoff so much better, because before it kind of felt like you were like snaking all over the runway, kind of like serpentine style. But you can have such finer control with the rudders now on takeoff roll. Alright, so we're coming up on the turnaround point. They do have markings to do a little spinny spin, so that's helpful. So slow down in preparation for the spinny spin. It's like tracing a picture in kindergarten. Color inside the lines, friends. The secret they never told me in kindergarten is that to color inside the lines, go slow. Just like we're doing now. Do a nice heavy turn. Oh, no, no. Come on, you could do it. You could do it. Ah, damn it. Ran out of energy. I want to maximize use of this runway. Alright. That looks good. Alright. Do one last external shot. See how we're looking. That's beautiful. Alright. Take off. 50% thrust. Man, flex SRS. Speed selected 180. .100 knots. Are they sure we have enough runway for this? Come on, this is gonna be close. V1. Rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Autopilot active. Packs on. Nose lights off. Spoilers disarmed. Super cool. And thrust climb. Alright, we're at our designated speed, climbing up to 7,500 feet. Take a look at that SID real quick. So once we get on the straight toward Igris, we can increase our climb to 10,500 and get rid of that speed restriction. Alt star. Oh, so gorgeous. Take a quick look outside. So cool. The overfly function and the improved make do there is pretty awesome. Increase the brightness a bit on these. It'll be interesting. Yeah, we're well above the freezing point, so we shouldn't need anti-ice going through these clouds. That might be a different story once we get to Paro. Prepare for the next step climb there, so 10,500. I know we could go higher than that, but I'm intentionally keeping it low just in case we get some pretty epic views closer to the ground. So on our way to Igris, let's go ahead and go up to 10,500. And now that we are on the straightaway, let's go ahead and clear the selected speed. Does that work? Is there no way for me to get rid of that? Oh, you know what I do? I just go to manage speed. There we go. That's how you do it. Now I'm accelerating up. And S-speed flaps retracted. Kind of pulling above this haze now. Wow, come on. Sometimes with the sim, man. The Himalayas back there? Wow, jeez. I should do this flight like once a week. It is that pretty. Let's see if this dims. This reflection dims. Oh no, actually it doesn't. It'd be really cool if the lighting was that dynamic. I wonder if when they... Oh no, it is dimming. Interesting. Not quite realistic, but it is actually reflecting the level of light that's coming through those clouds. Ooh, those are mountains ahead. Alright, let's check that SID again. Yeah, we're really at the minimum. So as we pass Igris, I suggest we go up to our cruise. How about that? Don't hit a mountain. Don't hit a mountain. Don't hit a mountain. That is freaky though, right? Flying into IMC at minimum altitude. Are we being ridiculous right now? No, we're high enough. Yeah, we're definitely high enough. Still feels dangerous though. Oh, so cool. I always hear about pilots talking about what it's like to clear the clouds. Screenshot there. Oh yeah. Light turn. Okay. I'm happy with that. Alright. So we're back. We've passed Igris. Let's clear ourselves up to cruise of 33,000. And then let's start the work of planning our approach. Open climb. Alright, so after takeoff and climb checklist, landing gears up, flaps retracted, packs are on, bow ref is, now that we're going up to cruise, we can go ahead and set that to standard, packs are on, and I can turn the landing lights off now. Alright. So 10,000 feet check since we're above that level. Landing lights are retracted. Seatbelts are as required. We can actually turn the seatbelts off. Maybe some bumps through the clouds, but that's fine. Set this to airport. Ecam memo is clear. Nav aids, we can go ahead and turn those off for now and clear them from the RadNav page. So clear the VOR, clear the ADF. Okay, that's fine. And okay. That's all good. Alright, now we are going to immediately prepare for descent and arrival. I should check the flight plan. It's saying UCC 247, that is like just under 40 minutes from now. So yes, now is the time to prepare the arrival. So let's get our charts organized. First, the Sipsu 1 approach. We'll clear these charts since we don't need them anymore. Clear, clear, clear. Alright. Subsu. It's all the same approach chart. And then the approach, we are doing runway unspecified. What? What does that mean? What does that mean? Runway unspecified. Well, it's not this approach because we're going into runway 33. Super interesting. What's the difference between these charts? I should have briefed this before I took off. That's the missed approach. I think this is what we're going to be doing. This one here makes sense. Runway 33. Is it runway 33? Yes, runway 33. And versus this one. This also looks correct. The difference being, missed approach looks different. But otherwise, primary approach looks identical. There's really a question of what misapproach procedure we want to follow. And looking at this... Oh yeah, we could do that one, because that would get us back onto this track for another landing versus the other missed approach. Kind of comes back along this way to the holding point. I like this one better. For whatever reason. We're not going to do a misapproach though, we're gonna commit to it. Alright, so we have those charts and we'll just get the airport information. It's a pretty simple airport. Yeah. 3-3. Alright, so with that, first thing I want to do is figure out when we're going to descend. So our first altitude restriction, via the subsu 1, is to 17,000 feet. Papa Romeo 888. Papa Romeo 888, that's also the start of our approach. Alright, so we want to get to 17,000 feet by then. And how long will it take us to get from 33,000 feet to 17,000 feet? 50 nautical miles. So we'll want to put that in. Let's get there at subsu, so we can have time to slow down as well. So, back to the box, let's put in a fix subsu, and we'll do a radius. I know it said 50 miles, is that right? So let's do 55 miles, be safe, give us some extra time, because we'll wanna be configured really early here. Alright, and let's check here, zoom out a bit, see visually when our top of descent is. There it is. That is our top of descent right there in 80 miles. No time at all. Will we make it to our top of climb? I don't know, we'll see. Alright, let's actually now put in the approach. So the arrival, we're going to do, oh yeah, we have this now, right? Because we're looking at the RNAV Yankee. So RNAV 33 Yankee. And the approach is the subsu 1 and Papa Romeo 888 is the via insert. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if this looks correct. So, where are we? There's subsu, there's PR88, do a nice little curve. Curve up at PR736, PR712, PR710, PR78, and then we're on our own from there. So we'll go manual at that point and fly in the rest of the way. And we'll probably spend the rest of the trip just studying this chart and make sure we're understanding the altitude step downs. But really the most important detail from my perspective is that we need to be at 185 knots max at this point. So we'll want to be either like partially configured or fully configured, and honestly for an approach like this, the slower the better. And my plan is when we get into the valley, I'm going to really pull back on the airspeed. I'm going to get like maybe within 10 knots of kind of like the stall danger zone, because I really think the slower you go, the better this landing will be, and the less chance we'll all die. Cool. All right, so that's set. Next up is to get our weather for Paro. We're close enough, really. So let's put in a weather request. Oh, super cool. Someone is getting their approach rating on VATSIM tonight. Sweet. I won't be able to join them though, because I will go to sleep after this. All right, what we're doing, weather request. And we'll go ahead and get rid of Kathmandu, because we're not interested in that anymore. And send. Wait for the company message to show up. Ooh, bumps. What the hell is happening? Jeez. Either live weather is broken again, or this is real. Alright, we'll regard the seatbelt sign going on. We seem to be climbing through it, so I'm going to guess it's real. Look at those outside temperatures to make sure they're not fluctuating like crazy, because that would indicate live weather is broken. No, I think this is actually just real turbulence. The wind is all over the place. Alright, well, hold on to our butts. Hopefully this will just stabilize as we continue our climb. Jeez, that is rough, guys. Let's see how they're doing in the back. Oh, that looks so wrong. Alright, like if I was a passenger... Yeah, that is freaky. That is freaky. Okay. Come on, keep climbing. Keep climbing, you can do it. Alright, I've already lost track of what we were doing. Oh yeah, we're getting the METAR. So that should have come through by now. Received messages, METAR new. Okay, there's our QNH. We'll go ahead and print that. Oh, light rain. So let's go ahead and put our arrival information in. So QNH is 1018. Paro temperature is 3 degrees. And winds are 195 knots. So is that giving us a tailwind? That's giving us a tailwind. into runway 33. Interesting. We should probably not be doing runway 33, but it's light enough. But honestly, I don't want any more airspeed going into this approach. Anyway, transition altitude. Let's check that chart. Wait, is it on this or the approach chart? Zoom out. There we go. Altitude sets, transition level by ATC. Okay, so we'll call it 18,000. That makes sense, because, like, yeah, we'll want to start configuring. We'll go to local QNH when we get down here. Alright, and Paro. Paro. This is a very important number. So Paro minimums for Class C, which is what we are, 10,740. And the runway altitude is, yeah, wow. So, like, it really has to be completely clear conditions well in advance. Yeah, actually right here, yeah, that's your decision altitude right there. So you have to make the decision to land or not before Papa Romeo 710. That's fascinating. All right. So, all right, we're getting close to our descent point already. We're just about at altitude, which is nuts. Alright, so descent, prep. We haven't done our rad navs, but we'll do that once we descend. Auto brake. Let's do medium. You normally almost never do max on a landing. Alright. So we have maybe just enough time to do our rad navs, if any. So, well, I don't see any VORs or ADFs or anything here. Really all just GPS. Okay. No worries. It's fine. So I think we're ready, people. Remind myself at initial descent. My memory is like a goldfish. 17,000. We'll program that into the box. Man, this turbulence is no joke. All right, and descend. Thrust idle, descend. Just check to see if there's any traffic in the vicinity. Or if it's just us. It looks like it's just us. But regardless, we'll get TCAS down to below. We still haven't been able to test how this TCAS works, because we've never been enough around traffic yet since they released the feature. But oh geez, that's so bumpy. But hopefully we'll get a chance to check it out soon. Since we are cleared below transition altitude, go ahead. My shortcut is not working for this. Hold on. There we go. No, don't want that. Give me back to QNH. There we go. And our QNH for the approach here, 1018. So a little adjustment. Alright, so we're descending now into Paro. Getting some crazy weather here. Yeah, it really doesn't look like the previous live weather bugs we faced, so this could very well be live weather. Jeez. The approach into Paro is not scary enough. It sure is pretty out there regardless. Let's look at how bad the plane is. Oh, jeez. God. It's just bouncing all over the place. But yes, no, that is stunning. That is absolutely stunning. Picture. Alright, looks like we're about like 38 miles from Subsu. And we're doing our descent thing. Let's see our descent calculator, see how we're progressing. Okay, yeah, so we'll get down just at Subsu, and then we'll have just enough time, about 20 miles, to slow down to 185 knots. Again, the plan is to take this as slow as we possibly can to increase our chances of landing success. Beautiful Bhutan beneath us. So we'll also do our 10,000 feet checks when we get to 17,000, since the altitude of the airport's about 7,000 above sea level. So we'll want to do that early as well. We'll basically want to do all of the configuration steps once we get down to 17,000, so then we can just focus on flying and descending for the rest of the way. And the bumpiness seems to have cleared up. So it's really like around 27, 28,000 feet and above. You can actually see in the OFP if... Actually, I'm not sure if we'll talk about like turbulence specifically, but seeing if there's any major differences. Yeah, oh yeah, look at this. The winds between 23,000 and 29,000 change dramatically. So whether or not that was realistically reflected in the transitions, the sim was definitely using the right weather. At least it seems from this. Down we go. Alright, let's start planning beyond Papa Romeo 888. The next altitude is 14,400. Kind of goes down quickly from there. And again, if we're going slow enough, shouldn't be a problem. Let's look at our estimated descent speeds. So approach, yeah, fully configured will be 142. So maybe we'll do most of this approach in flaps too. Drop the gear once we're inside of the runway. But we'll play that by ear. We'll see how we do. Getting down there. Here we go. Already passing through some clouds. Could be icy conditions through those clouds. We'll have to watch for that too. Alright, so Alt star speed. So at this point, let's do our 10,000 feet checks. So set the constraints, landing lights on. Seatbelts on, landing system as required. We're not going to be leveraging it tonight, but we'll see if we get anything from it. I'm not expecting we shouldn't get anything from it, but you never know. Rad navs are selected and identified, not needed for this. Engine mode's normal, ECAM status checked. Approach checklist, briefing is confirmed, ECAM status is checked, seatbelts are on, power ref is set, minimums are set, engine mode selected as required. Engine mode selected as required, and it is. Alright. So 15 miles. Oops, some clouds popping in there. Oh, and we're already slowing down to the restriction. Fantastic. That's one less thing we need to worry about. Really excellent job on the VNAV, folks. Double check, flight level 170. And I believe it was 14.4, yeah, 14.4 next. Down to the green dot speed. Speed checked, flaps 1. At that point, I think we can go ahead and activate the approach phase. Definitely bumpy. There's our next step down. So once we cross Papa Romeo 888, we'll head down to 14,400. Further down we go. See if there's further speed restrictions to be aware of as we get closer. 145 knots there, so we'll want to be fully configured by that point. I think once we pass Papa Romeo 742, I'll go to flaps 2. Just to help with that descent a little bit. Alright, speed checked, flaps 2. I think we'll go down to 13,100 at this point, because I think we're going to cross the threshold right in time. But manage altitude will keep us above, it looks like. Yeah, so the way it seems to be working right now, it seems to be skipping the next waypoints restriction and adhering to the one thereafter. Continue to look ahead. Alright, so that appears to be the final speed restriction before final approach, but I think let's plan to be fully configured before this turn. We don't want to be playing with additional deceleration at that point. Okay, so I think it's the last time I'm going to look at the chart. I want to be aware of the airplane and my surroundings. Ooh, rainbow! Rainbow! Oh my god. The rainbow. Double rainbow! Double rainbow! Alright, pay attention. Pay attention. So 12,400. Super cool. I'm going to submit that photo to the Flight Simulator Twitter. Next constraints. What's the landing profile here? I know I said I wouldn't look at the chart again.
2,500.
We're pretty much hand flying at that point. Okay. All right, 11,800. Oh, anti-ice. Anti-ice. Had a feeling. Alright, so gear down at this point. Our runway, our landing lights on fully. Alright, gear down confirmed. Activate the speed brakes. Approach, okay, that's all good. Speed check, flaps 3. And flaps full. Next constraint is 9,900. Alt star. Further down we go. Enjoy the last few moments of autopilot. Another double rainbow moment.
Minimum.
Minimums. I guess we're continuing. This is like... You would never do a Paro approach in this weather. This is not visual conditions.
2,500.
I'm not sure if it's going to clear up once we get into the valley, but... Alt star. We're like very close to stall speed already, as it is. So when we disconnect autopilot, I'm not sure how much slower I can really get. Alright, again, I'm just gonna go on the record here and say we wouldn't normally, at least I don't think an actual pilot would actually execute this approach and landing in these conditions.
2,500.
Alright, well, I'll let the airplane point me towards the runway, and then we will go and hand fly it. Paro traffic, Royal Bhutan 9084 on 4-mile final for runway 33. Okay. It's straight raining, guys.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
I'm going assume about 800 feet per minute is a good descent rate at this point. Let's see if the charts give us any indication. 3 degrees, so yeah, this is about right. Again, no visual on the, oh no, there's the runway. So we're pretty high, we're very high. Alright, this is absolutely a missed approach. No, we can't. I can't even fake this. Alright.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
So I don't know what to do now. Because we haven't programmed the misapproach into our McDo. Right, because the secondary flight plan doesn't work. So...
1,000.
let's see. Fly left. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to try that approach again. And we're going to do it from PR 796. Keep turning until we're kind of... what heading? Roughly. Basically due south.
2,500.
This is when I'd really want a terrain radar too. Alright, so let's, what altitude do we want to be at that point? 16,000. So let's set that. Autopilot doesn't want to engage. Why not? Well, let's go, I guess, heading mode. There we go. I think it was just confused. So we'll hold this heading, and we'll, yeah, okay, doing go around, perfect. Flight plan, PR 796. Let's go direct to PR 796. Okay, cool. And go into the flight plan, do a nice big arc. It's the reverse arc, but that's fine. I'm not going to complain. And I think we go back and put in our arrival information. So RNAV 33 Yankee. Is this a different approach now? Because we're coming from PR 777. Yeah, so we're going to do... I mean, this is still... not a subsu 1. PR 780, where's that? Seems to be before this. Yeah. So let's do the BOGOP. The BOGOP 1 Bravo. The BOGOP 1 Alpha. BOGOP 1 Alpha. BOGOP 1 Alpha. Via PR 777. Right? Insert. Let's see how that looks. PR 782, PR 780. So let's do direct. PR 782. Just to give us the most room, eh? Perfect. Now I'm glad we brought that extra fuel, eh? Alright, so, alright, let's rebrief that approach. Come from PR 782, we'll want to be at 185 by the time we get to PR 777. So once we're on the course, then we'll worry about slowing down and configuring again. We really want to be much lower than this when we get here, eh? So like... So pretty much, okay, so let's do this. Pretty much, even that would get us too high. I was recommending a 3-degree down angle from PR 712. So we can try that. Let's try that. But we have to remind ourselves we gotta be pretty low in that valley to do this approach properly. Can I force an overfly? Okay, here we go. So if you're just joining us, we had a pretty insane missed approach into Paro. Like, we could have attempted to land, but like seriously, it was just like beyond even my tolerance simming to try such a crazy steep approach. It was made more challenging because by the time we got to Paro, we were in IMC conditions, and you would never land at Paro in IMC. So this is not exactly a true-to-life scenario anymore, since this is far more dangerous than any pilot would actually attempt. But we're doing it because, thankfully, in the sim, no lives are on the line. So yeah, so we're in go around mode, and when we're ready, we'll activate the approach phase again. Got some sweet double rainbow shots though. That was a victory. Probably dating myself, referencing the double rainbow. It is funny. I feel like I'm out of things to talk about in this very moment. I was expecting to be on the tarmac at this point, shutting things down, getting ready to go to bed. But no. Microsoft Flight Simulator Live Weather had a different plan for us, friends. Oh, y'all damper, thanks so much for the follow, appreciate it. I was like sweating bullets over the last 10 minutes over this misapproach. I completely neglected to see that. I do like that name, by the way. Y'all damper in up. If you're not a pilot, you're definitely an enthusiast. It's like I've been flying the A320 so much. It's like, why did I even bother buying rudder pedals? I've only ever used it on the ground. To be fair, I haven't really done a crosswind in this plane yet, but... Alright. I'm gonna go for the loop-de-loop. Remind myself what altitude we want to target and by when. So we're at 16,000. We'll want to slow down before we get to Papa Romeo's 777. With managed speed, we'll see if the speed constraint actually functions. There's the overfly though. That's working. And here comes our turn. We're at green dot speed, so speed checked flaps 1. And once we've completed this circle, we'll go ahead and activate the approach mode once again for round 2. Looks like it's going to pick up the speed restriction on its own, and it's about, yeah, it's 18 miles away, so we don't need to be in a rush to slow down just yet. Trying to save some time as we get back on the approach path. I don't want to get my hopes up, but this looks a bit clearer than it did on the initial attempt. Start planning ahead. Alright, once we get past Papa Romeo 777, we want to get down to, it looks like the next restriction on this path is 11,800. And then at that point, we'll just set a 3-degree descent angle. And hopefully that gets us to a better altitude for the final approach. Just going to prep that altitude now, 11,800, so you don't have to think about it again. And 10 miles out, let's go ahead and activate that approach. Oh, you know, I still have the gear down. Jeez, I really was flustered. I'm like, why is this plane seeming to drag so much right now? We're going to be dropping the gear pretty soon anyway, but let's go ahead and activate the approach phase once again. Recognize our flaps 1. So much more peaceful now with the friggin' gear up. Chill here for a little bit. Now, this may be one of my more entertaining streams, but it's definitely failing on the piloting proficiency scale. Ah, our outer tanks are transferring in. Okay, that's what that means. Seeing this ECAM memo, outer tank fuel transferred. Ice not detected. I'll keep it on though, because I got the warning before. Alright, pay attention, pay attention. Alright, speed checks flaps 2. Let's get that airspeed down a bit further. Alright, and now let's get down to 11,800. Down we go. Alright, just want to do a quick check. About a minute away from the next waypoint. So let's say like 3 or 4 minutes till we get to this, and I think, yeah, we'll get down to that altitude, no problem. Yes, just to recap, the strategy this time will be fully configured by Papa Romeo 712, and we'll set a 3% down angle from there on out, and then hope that gets us to a good glide path to the runway. A little bit less of a double rainbow this time. Praying for good visibility on attempt number 2 into Paro in IMC conditions. Alright, gear down. Spoilers armed. Our lights are still on from the last time we did this. And speed checked, flaps 3. And flaps full. Get ready to adjust our flight angle. We'll set our altimeter, actually, oh, we don't want to go down yet, hold on. Hold on. Sorry, I was confusing the autopilot here. Shit. It doesn't like that. Alright, so we'll set it for 9900, which is where we set it before. Okay, back to managed altitude. And then we'll execute our strategy here by going into vertical speed, down 3 degrees at this point. And again, the hope is that this will get us on a better glide path angle to the runway. Power traffic, Royal Bhutan 9084 on 10-mile funnel, runway 33.
Above.
Bullshit. Yeah, definitely not.
2,500.
Radio altimeter's alive and dead. Yeah, man, if I was a passenger on this plane right now, I'd be losing my shit. Radio altimeter's alive again. And dead.
2,500.
And back. Alright.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
I hope. Oh, come on. Keep descending, my friends. We're not done yet.
$2,500.
So I can already tell, well, It feels like we're going to have the same issue again, although we are already
2,500.
below where we were before. So if we cross this waypoint at like 9,000, maybe we'll be in better shape. But I'm going to increase that flight angle a bit more. I'll just watch that radio altimeter. Although this terrain can change pretty
1,000.
quick. Anyway, the fact that we have no visual on the runway. Alright, I'm going manual. We're gonna really hug these
1,000.
hilltops.
1,000.
I can't see anything. I think the airport's going to be on the other side of this hill.
500.
2.5 miles. We got to be ready for it. So I'm actually going to overfly that hill a bit.
$500, 400, 200,
Where are you?
200,
Pull up.
Shit. Shit.
Pull up.
Shit.
$300,
There you are. Okay. We can save this.
300, 200,
Can we save this? Oh shit.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard,
Might run out of runway. We're so off center line.
10, 5,
Reverse green. Decel. $70 knots. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus, 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 Jesus. That was terrible. But we got it down. I guess like every landing you can walk away from is a good landing, right? Am I right? Am I right? Oh my god. Paro traffic, road Bhutan 9084, safely on the ground, back taxiing runway 33. Come on. It's a pretty quiet night on Twitch. We'd love some props for that landing if you're here to see that. Post a clip to YouTube later. Like, my heart's racing. I'm going to need to come down after this. I'm reading the third Witcher book right now, Blood of Elves. You know, I'll crash on the couch and open that up for a little bit before passing out. Adrenaline is real. Alright, so actually, I feel like I have to be careful of those light poles. And that house. Ooh, and I'm like cheating a little bit here, but I don't want to like have the sim crash because I bumped into a building. Yeah, like if I stay on that center line, I would totally hit that pole. In any case, we're going to pause here and do our after landing checklists. Because, you know, we're trying to do it all real and stuff. My standard operating procedures here because my memory is just not working. Alright, here we go. After landing, ground spoilers disarmed. Radar off. Predictive weather system is off. Set ATC to standby, TCAS to standby. Retract the flaps. Thank you. Let's start that APU. Get the engine de-icer off. 1, 2, 3. Get those landing lights off. Runway turn off lights off, and set this to taxi. Brake temperature check. I did not check them before, but yeah, it's pretty hot. So I guess, do we have to turn the brake fans on? Yes, we do. Oh my goodness gracious. I've never had to do that before. Oh, yaw damper. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. I do appreciate that. Alright, APU start, radar off, predictive weather system off. Okay, after landing checklist complete. Let's go find a parking spot. I don't know, guys. I think we'll have our pick. Do an outside view so I can get a sense. Sometimes Flight Sim loads up a place for you to park, sometimes it doesn't. Kind of feels like here is where it wants me to go because that looks like a external power unit. So yeah, let's just pretend. Yeah, no, and there's a guy standing there. So that is where we're going to park tonight. Slow down. We want to be at 5 knots coming into the gate. Oh, I never noticed that mural before. That's cool. Alright, let's turn. Try not to run this guy over. I'm going to be so distracted by that picture in the background. I'm totally going to run this guy over. I'm not even straight. That's so cool. Oh my god, we have to take a drone camera photo of that. Alright, slow down. Oh, inch up, inch up. Tell me to go left. I'm trying, bro. I'm trying. There we go. Still going left. You're going to tell me to stop at some point? I can't see you anymore. Okay. Oh no, he's still... Ah, yes. Playing chicken with an A320. And stop. Yes! Parking brake on. Confirm APU's available. Engines off. And we'll get that seatbelt sign off. I was totally blinding you with my nose lights. Apologies, bro. Strobes to off at this point. Beacons off. And yeah, let's go through some parking procedures. See how those brakes are doing. They're nice and cool, so we'll turn that brake fan off. Again, never had to use it, but man, I love that it's in there. Engine masters are off, beacons off, seatbelts off. Fuel pumps off. Go ahead and set ATC to standby. And parking checklist. APU bleed on. Engines off, seatbelts off, exterior lights as required, fuel pumps off, parking brake and chocks as required. And that's it. So let's get super cool. I would love to know who that guy is. And whether that's his daughter or his wife. Because it really could go either way. Alright. Let's get the stairs. Well, there was definitely power out there. Is that working? Yeah, the power's working. And can we get the baggage to show up? All we're getting today is power, guys. That's it. But you know what? That's enough. We'll just blow up the inflatable ramps and have people deplane that way. Alright, well once external power is available, we'll transfer over to that. And go through securing the checklists. Securing the aircraft checklists. So close this out. So we get the parking lights are on. Aiders, go ahead and shut those down because we're done flying. Oxygen crew supply off. Exterior lights off. Go ahead and shut off the other lighting systems. Get the dome light off. We can dim this. We are off. We're on external power. King of Bhutan, thank you. That's a really sweet detail. Okay, we can go ahead and turn APU bleed off, get the packs off, get the APU off, because we're on external power. Overhead looks good, and let's clean up our dash here. So, landing system flight director is off. Dim these lights. Oh yeah, get this off. Ran the engines for about an hour 25 tonight. So yaw damper, do you know if that's a spouse or a daughter or a vice king? Okay. Make sure the APU is still available. It takes a while for the APU to shut down in the later versions of the fly-by-wire, so I'm going to keep an eye on that just to make sure that actually does shut off. We'll go ahead and finish cleaning things up here. And I think that's it. And you know, again, we forgot to lock the door, so the passengers had access the entire time. Alright. Once that APU goes off, because I just want to make sure it does, we'll go ahead and get back to cold and dark and call it night. Till then, can I zoom in? How detailed is this photo? Like, they straight up took a picture of that and put it in the sim. Yeah, let's assume that's the queen. That is, I mean, she is beautiful. APU still available. I think this is the fly-by-wire bugging out. Because the APU really shouldn't... Oh, there we go. As soon as I went to the APU page, I decided to shut down. So there might be something going on there. Alright, let's get the screens off. Shut the radios down. Bye-bye, VATSIM. And yeah, I don't think there's anything left to do but disconnect external power and turn the batteries off. Well, thank you everyone who came in and out of the stream tonight to check this out. This was definitely the most exciting leg we've done so far, from Kathmandu to Paro. Definitely want to do that approach again at some point in the future, but from here I think we're heading to Thailand, if I recall correctly, as we continue flying around the world in the A320. I think that's going to be a much more straight ahead flight with an ILS approach and all that good stuff. Special thanks to Yaw Damper for keeping me company on the final legs of this while I was losing my shit. But I hope you guys join us next time on MSFS. Have a good rest of the night wherever you guys are. Cheers.